Deep in the bush below Lynden is an old stone dam, believed to be the work of convicts. No surrounding structures remain. No pump house, no pipelines, no obvious clues to its purpose.
And here it is.
So why was it built in such a remote place, and why was it abandoned? This may have something to do with it. The construction of the Western Railway line opened up Sydney's Western Plains, reaching as far as Penrith by 1863. What lay beyond, however, was a formidable natural barrier. By 1865, that challenge was met with the construction of the Knapsack Viaducts and Lapston Zigzag, allowing trains to claw their way up the escarpment on a gruelling 1 in 33 grade. The railway advanced in stages. By 11 July 1867, it had reached Weatherboard, today's Wentworth Falls, and by May the following year it arrived at Mount Victoria. For the time, travel west was relatively quick and reliable, at least by the standards of the day. With the rails came people. Mountain villages began to grow as railway workers and their families settled nearby. Shops opened, schools followed. Public schools at places like Springwood and Glenbrook owe their early beginnings to the influx of rail families. Tourism soon followed too, with accommodation houses springing up in almost every village along the line. Steam trains themselves helped drive this growth, but they came with a simple, pressing need: water, vast amounts of it. Long before the railway, a lagoon at the top of the climb from Emu Plain served as a watering hole for early travellers, and even as the site of the first military depot in the mountains. But the opening of Lennox Bridge and Mitchell Pass in 1833 saw the area largely bypassed until the railway pushed through in the late 1860s. In 1867, the area was simply known as Water Tank, a functional name for a functional place. It supplied water to engines after their exhausting haul up the zigzag. Water was piped to the trains, and in 1871, Wasco's siding opened here as a public platform and passing loop. Its name changed to Brookvale in 1878, and then to Glenbrook in 1879. By then, a town was already taking shape around the rails. This was the first in a series of railway dams built at strategic points along the line, each one a quiet but vital piece of infrastructure, keeping steam alive in the mountains. Here we are at Lynden, a location that was once an unnamed camp used by explorers Blaxland, Lawson and Wentworth. It was known as Bluff Ridge or Ravine Bridge as late as 1829. In the ensuing years, a few buildings sprang up in the vicinity, and the locality became known as 17 Mile Hollow. In 1867, the railway was laid across this narrow rocky ridge. The first platform was constructed in August 1874 at the request of David Fletcher, who was living at Lynden Lodge at the time, and a platform was known as Lynden Tank. It also served as a passing loop on what was still a single track line across the range. Then, from 1874 to 1879, it was a private stop known as Henderson's Platform, and by 1879, with the addition of a waiting shed, it became Linden Station. The name was taken from Linden Lodge, the private residence built by prosperous warehouseman William Henderson, which still stands beside the highway today. This small weatherboard building here originally served as the booking office. It was later purchased from the railways by the Church of England and moved a short distance to the entrance cutting to the station around 1902 to 1904. Despite the limited space on this narrow ridge, 2 passing loops were constructed in 1882. It was decided this would also become a water supply point, and by 1884, a small stone dam was built across Crystal Creek, now known as Bulls Creek. Water was conveyed from the dam to Linden Station via a timber stave pipeline, feeding a tank constructed in 1885. Wooden pipelines like this were common at the time, especially in remote or developing areas. Made from curved timber staves bound tightly with metal bands, they were an effective solution, simple, practical and surprisingly durable. Also part of the water infrastructure system were parachute tanks, elevated water supply points located at each refilling station. The ones at Lynden are likely to have been just like these at Valley Heights in the 1950s. An 1886 railway guide to New South Wales captured the old Lynden scene perfectly with this passage. This place, recently established, is more useful at present to the department than to the public. The scenery in the vicinity is singularly wild and romantic, and the bush abounds in great wealth of ferns and wildflowers. Here the engines take water, the supply being drawn from a dam romantically lying in the basin of the hills about half a mile from the station. Some say the dam was built using convict labour, but considering transportation to New South Wales ended in 1840, more than 40 years before the dam was constructed, that may not be entirely true. A pumping plant was installed to siphon water from the dam to a tank on the knoll beside Linden Station. That tank still stands today, though it's more familiar to local youth than to railway workers. A canvas for graffiti and a dumping ground for used spray cans and empty energy drinks. This cutting through the ridge is said to have been created for William Henderson, for easier access to the station from the old Western Road, to transport fresh produce from his orchard. Today it serves as pedestrian access from the highway. Spanning the top of the cutting are two disused steel pipes, likely once used to carry water from the ridgetop tank not too far away. Remnants of the pipe workings are now covered in leaf litter. Could these be the pipes that carried water from the main tank to the parachute tanks to feed the steam trains? Bulls Creek Dam became redundant in the late 1920s when a larger dam was constructed further downstream on Woodford Creek, though even that system wouldn't remain in use for long. Come 1957, the curtains were drawn on the era of regular steam train services across the mountains. With electrification reaching Lithgow, steam locomotives became occasional visitors. Light engines, special workings and the odd freight, until they finally faded away in the early to mid-1970s. The buildings and structures that once stood at both ends of Linden Station, such as the parachute tanks, an 1884 sand bin and station master's residence, are long gone. In 1908, the 90 kilolitre tank was transferred to the agricultural town of Trangie, and in 1909 the pumping facilities and vertical boiler were transferred to Marangaroo. Linden Station, which also provided post office facilities for a few years, closed in 1974 due to lack of patronage, but reopened and still operates today. As for Bulls Creek Dam, it's been left to Mother Nature. Anyone can see it, providing you're willing to walk down from Bulls Camp, traipse through the bush and clamber over some rocks. Ferns crowd its edges, water slips through the spillway, and the bush has reclaimed much of what industry left behind. Once an essential piece of railway infrastructure, now largely forgotten. A reminder that the railway didn't just carve its way through the mountains, it drank deeply from them too. If you're liking these videos, be sure to whack those like and subscribe buttons. And thanks for watching.